Good morning traders, welcome to this week's Outlook. I'm Joseph from Eightcap, and this is the Trade Zone weekly outlook. So I suppose the first big news today so far has been that UBS is going to buy Credit Suisse for 3.2 billion. This is seen as a shore up move, but UBS has also asked for certain details from the Swiss National Bank, just to make sure that they're safe on their end as well. So that's sort of one of the key things so far this morning. We'll get on to some of the bigger things this week as well. Sorry, there's no real reason for Canando to be up, but cryptos did have another decent weekend, and we can see here Bitcoin continues to really lead the charges. Really has been the real front runner for the cryptos since that recovery that started back on this bar here, and it continues to push higher. So we saw a Saturday session here and Friday session here, and price is sitting back in the 28,000 area. Now Ethereum has been another one that's been moving quite nicely, but as you can see, Bitcoin has really been leading that charge so far. This morning we are seeing risk markets trading higher. We can see the Aussie at the moment leading to the yen and to the USD. There will be a lot of focus today on the banking stocks in the US. We did, and Europe as well, as we did see a slide on Friday, and that was after I think traders really just starting to digest a couple of key points. One was the deal from the Swiss National Bank to Credit Suisse, and also just how liquid some of these banks are in the US, even though we did see that there was an agreement by a group to make sure that they had enough capital. But I think the market was really wondering if that's a sure thing or not. So we will continue to check that out on Monday and during the week, as it continues to be a real key factor for the equity market. So we can see US futures are higher this morning, but we can see that move lower. There was a gap higher on open, and the NASDAQ continues to be the strongest of the three main US indexes. Even though there was some selling on Friday, we can see that nice push higher. There is a bit of news this week coming up with the Federal Reserve, and we'll get onto that in a moment, and the SPX 500 here as well. So I think eyes are really going to be on this continuing issue, which continues to be the banking crisis. Now some of the other kind of news so far this morning. Really, apart from UBS, I think the Fed is going to be the key one this week. And if we just have a look here, that is coming out on Thursday morning, and they're still expecting interest rates to increase by 0.25%. There has been calls that maybe the Fed could hold, but I think the general consensus is that we will see a increase of 0.25% on Thursday. There's Canadian CPI coming out this week as well, and we have great UK CPI as well. They're looking for 9.9%, so another decrease. Obviously we have the Fed on Thursday, and we have the Swiss National Bank interest rate decision as well, and they're expected to raise rates by 0.5%, and the UK is expected to put rates up by 0.25% as well. So it's a pretty big day on Thursday. There's a couple of interest rate decisions, and the most important out of those will be the statements from the central banks. So it'll be interesting to see the Fed statement just in regards to inflation and just generally really the banking sector, and if that's having any impact. Obviously inflation is their key job to control, but what measures will they take to help shore up the banking sector, if any? We have heard some already, so mainly as well from President Biden. So will we hear anything new, just sort of trying to stabilize that market and put some confidence back in there? So especially for the US30, we have seen that strong decline. There is a fair bit of support there and we can see that down at 31,845. That's really an area we're looking to hold. There's been plenty of demand each time we've dropped under that area. So that interest rate rise you'd think would be factored in now, but I think it really comes down to what the Fed has to say in the statement about where they're seeing things and how, and on the inflation side and also on the banking sector side. So it'll be interesting to see their comments on Thursday. And as we wrap up the week, we have flash data coming out of Europe. The French, the EU, and the all-important German, and the UK and US manufacturing and service PMIs coming out to end the week. So I think the German data, as usual, is watched pretty closely in the EU. And also we do have unemployment claims as usual from the US. So it's a good week data-wise. There could be some good opportunities volatility-wise, depending on what comes out. But we'll also have that mix from the banking sector and what's happening there as well. So it could be a pretty exciting week, depending on what plays out so far. A few of the other markets to have a look at. So oil finished the week basically sharply lower, saw 2.78% taken off USD, and it continues to trade in this new down leg. Gold slightly lower this morning, but it had another surge on Friday as traders look for a flight to safety, and it's gone real close to 1993. It's busted, broke above that high we saw back in January. So if we just look at the longer term chart here, it's getting very close now, starting to get back to levels we saw back in 2022. We all know the real key reason why gold surged back in 22, but it's getting back to some pretty decent levels. So continue to have a look at that, and if things do continue to worsen with the banking sector, is there a chance we could see gold back at 2000? So there's definitely a possibility there. There's a lot of buying, even if we do see a bit of a pullback. There's no reason why, if things do continue to deteriorate and there's a lot of fear and worry and money pouring out of those equities, we could see that money routed back into gold. The dollar hasn't really been a real safe haven at the moment due to this being a banking sector crisis, and we can see here that the dollar on Friday took another decline, and let that money still going back into gold, even though equities are going down as well. So it's a different situation at the moment. So definitely keep an eye on gold and silver this week, and the Fed also could have an influence on those two markets as well, depending on how things are panning out with the banking issues, and then how they pan out with the Fed policy and the statement that comes out on Thursday. So yeah, a lot of good little angles so far this week, and a lot of things just to keep an eye on. So hopefully it's another exciting week. Crypto's another one to keep an eye on. I won't go over all of them, but we can see here with Bitcoin it just continues to run. There is talk now that Bitcoin is seeing is seen as a diversified asset, and there's a fair bit of money going into it just from that fact that people are wondering where to put their funds. So that's an interesting turn, as we have seen Bitcoin decline a fair bit, but it does make sense with the dollar falling and then with a lot of worry out there. But on the other side, there is a lot of actions being taken to shore up the market, so there's support there as well. So definitely we are wondering if Bitcoin can continue to run. The next real big key resistance point is up here at 30 to 31.5. It's a fair way away at the moment, but if you have a look at the weekly chart, we are seeing a very nice move on the weekly chart here. We have broken above this key resistance that was holding price back, and that was at that 24 area, and we're well above that now. So even if we do see a pullback, I'd like to see if we can push higher. And then we are wondering now if this isn't the start of a new, short-term, really medium or long-term trend, since we're looking at the weekly chart here. So a lot of focus will remain on Bitcoin from us this week, and also on the US stock indexes as well, if we do see continues to move lower. So we can see that key resistance here. We've had that minor rally here, which is being broken, and we've broken lower, but there is a bit of demand here that sellers need to beat at that level we just discussed. So that trend now looks to be under a fair bit of pressure, and we have a decent little pattern here that has been broken out of. So it's going to be an interesting week, hopefully, and hopefully it'll be interesting to see how much information we get about support and some foundation going back into the US banking sector to shore it up, and with Credit Suisse what the aftermath will be with that purchase plan from UBS, and also the loan that they were given from the Swiss National Bank. So that's main things this week. So thank you very much for your time. If you're enjoying our content, please feel free to subscribe. We wish you a fantastic week, and all the best and good trading, and until our next update, bye for now.